generally, I don't think of them as leaders. I'm not sure many people do.
I'm sure in, Harry and Meghan's defense, the royal family could have said things along the way about them and kind of defended her a little bit more. And, he does say that the palace's silence is a betrayal. Do you agree with that statement? And do you believe going forward that the palace will remain silent about everything that they are saying? Or does it come a point where they have to defend themselves?
Well, I think the idea of silence being a betrayal, that Martin Luther King quote, is interesting, because that seems to be what they were really sore about all the time since Meghan really joined the family, or even before she did, when she was announced as Harry's partner, but before their marriage. I don't think the palace is in the business of issuing press releases and briefings on every detail about their lives. That's something that they seem to like doing now. I think, on the contrary, the tradition here is that the royal family have tried to strike a balance with publicity so that they can defend people within the family from too much intrusion. Obviously, that's a massive burden on the family and members of the family. So sometimes I think they do assume it's best to just leave things be, and there is an awful lot written and said about the royal family. Some of it will be more accurate than other parts, but I think to a certain extent, if they had to react to every single piece of gossip written about them, it would be non-stop, and it would be a massive distraction from what they're really trying to do as working royals. But I do think that it's unfair of them, really, because they're constantly oversharing themselves. They're constantly, in a way, betraying the royal family. They say it's a betrayal for the royal family not to have said more about them. But they're constantly betraying their family in the things that they are saying, in the confidences they're breaking. To have heard about the closed-door meeting in Sandringham, the Queen sitting silently, as Harry described it, while his father and his brother yelled at him. Of course, I would say they're not likely to be having complex or emotional discussions behind the scenes, because if anyone's leaking things, it does seem to come more from Harry and Meghan's side. So should the king, or the future king, that is to say Charles or William, have anything to say in private, they're probably very afraid to, because they're worried that it will just be on Netflix or on Spotify or in a book, or told to Gayle King or to Anderson Cooper. And I don't think that is how you make peace within any family, but one that's so in the public eye, so much under the public gaze, I don't think it stands any chance. And just to say again that what Harry says in this tiny clip of this interview that we've seen so far is that he did try in private to reconcile with his family, but it hasn't worked, and now he's therefore doing everything publicly, it would seem. Well, that is exactly what Thomas Markle said. He said that he tried to make peace with Meghan and Harry, that this was a massive shock to him, this publicity, the focus on him and the family when she became involved publicly with Prince Harry. And he made a mistake, which I think he acknowledged, and since then was cut off. So in trying to make peace with Meghan and Harry, he reached absolutely no conclusion, said that he didn't get any response from them. And so then he went public and started to speak in the press. So the very thing that they hated in his actions is what they appear to be saying they're doing themselves in relation to the royal family. Again, it's a question of hypocrisy or having your cake and eating it. I don't see how you can have it both ways.
Yeah, no, you're right. You make a really good point. What does 2023 look like for Harry and Meghan? I know they just released this docu-series on Netflix. I don't know if it got a lot of buzz. I know that you wrote about it in your column for The Express, but it doesn't really seem like a lot of people are interested in what they're doing, except if they're talking about the royal family.
Well, I think that's right. So that series, interestingly, the trailer for it had Meghan and Harry in it quite a lot, but it turns out that it had more or less their entire contribution in it. They are that little bit that goes as the title sequence, really, to each episode. You know, the bit where you can click on skip intro. So thankfully, there's a skip Harry and Meghan button effectively on this series, which I did make good use of. And I'll say this, the series was all right. I mean, these were very kind of plodding, surface documentary / interviews about inspirational leaders, some more inspirational than others, some better known than others. But the implication of putting Harry and Meghan at the beginning to introduce each one with the same stock quotes from Nelson Mandela. It was produced by the Nelson Mandela Foundation, the series, and then a one-sentence description of the person being interviewed in that episode. Well, it seemed to be that they were kind of on a par with these great leaders, and that these people were meant to inspire us all to live a life of leadership. But I don't think that people really think of Meghan and Harry as leaders. I think that if asked, most people would think of them as quitters. They quit the royal family, they quit the United Kingdom, they quit their service as working royals, they've even quit her family in a sense. She quit acting, which was her profession. Generally, I don't think of them as leaders. I'm not sure many people do. And so it seems an odd choice to put them there. On the other hand, as I said in the Express piece, well, it's certainly got lots of us watching that series. I would never have watched it if they hadn't been on it. I'm watching it because, it's part of my line of work that I watch the things they do and the royal family do. So I understand why the Nelson Mandela Foundation probably put them there. We also know from Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, who's the subject of one of the films, that she had no idea she'd be used as a Meghan and Harry vehicle. It was an interview filmed ages ago. All she knew was that it was for the Mandela Foundation, and that then they bolted Harry and Meghan on the front. So perhaps Netflix are trying to get value for money. They've paid this massive amount of money to the couple for a certain amount of output, and perhaps they wanted to ride on the wake of the 6 hours of whinging that they've done in their own reality show / manipulated reality show, and try and get some eyeballs on this fairly low grade documentary series about leaders.
For more news content and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.